Have you ever felt overloaded by your curriculum to the point where you were ready to scream, "Enough! Turn it off already!" Everyone I've ever met on the journey has gotten to that place where they just wanted to turn off their own mind to get a bit of relief from the constant process of monitoring their own thoughts. It's normal to feel that way. The question is, how do you get a little rest without lapsing back into sleep? Once you've awakened your neutral observer, I don't recommend turning it off. I did this once, and I lapsed back into unconscious behavior for several months. I had a challenging time extricating myself because I'd fallen totally asleep at the wheel again. To wake up, I had to crash painfully and observe the wreckage that I'd created in my own unconscious state. Remember, no one gets to skip out of their own soul's curriculum. While I was napping, my lesson books began piling up behind me, just out of sight. I was quite astounded by the huge pile of homework that I had to catch up on when I reawakened my neutral observer. It was as if I'd turned off my mind computer and then forgotten about it. It took a really long time to reboot, and once it was up and running again, I had several thousand red flagged notices from my neutral observer in my inbox to deal with. Talk about overload. I thought what would provide me relief ended up creating tons of work for me and stress in the long term. So if it isn't a good idea to turn your neutral observer all the way off, what can you do when it feels like too much to process? Don't worry. Just like college has semester breaks and summer vacation, you too can take time away from your spiritual curriculum whenever you need a breather. When you choose to take a break from updating your irrational beliefs, you can imagine setting your neutral observer on a timer switch. I call this taking a conscious break. A conscious break is necessary when you've been observing your own thoughts diligently, identifying and updating them, to the point where you feel depleted or perhaps even overwhelmed by the amount of attention this requires. Rather than becoming stressed, depressed, or down in any way about the beautiful process of enlightenment, simply take a break from your stuff for a while. Relax. Maybe you want to watch a movie without observing all your own reactions, or lie on a beach, or read for a while without getting distracted by your own thoughts for 5 minutes. Or maybe you just want to veg out, daydream, and think about nothing. Start your conscious break by setting an intention and give yourself a time limit. Here's an example. If I'd been diligently and consistently updating my irrationality for days on end, and mind you, this updating is happening on top of and concurrently with all the other regular demands of my life, work, children, shopping, laundry, etc., I might just need to take a break. I would call up my neutral observer and give him a 2-hour break. It might sound something like this. I call upon the part of myself that's in charge of neutrally observing my thoughts. I'm giving myself a break to watch a movie. Please allow me to take a 2-hour break, starting now, and begin monitoring my thoughts again in 2 hours and fill in the time. Remember, the language that you use is not as important as your intention. It's your intentionality that is most vital. By giving your consciousness a time limit, this ensures that your neutral observer will automatically turn back on, so you don't have to worry about going unconscious. Give yourself permission to take conscious breaks as needed, and you'll never have a reason to feel that you can't deal with all of the information that is coming your way. Say, If my process becomes too intense, I now know that I can take a conscious break at any time. Action step. If you reach a point where you need a reprieve, instead of turning off your neutral observer, take a conscious break. Declaration. I now give myself permission to take a conscious break. At any time, I intentionally set my inner timer to restart my self-observation at the end of my break. I honor myself by balancing my diligence with my need for rest and relaxation. Many blessings of joy and vibrant freedom.